After the normal laterals, today we'll do the bone, that is the mandible. So mandible is the lower jaw bone and it is a very valuable bone for the determination of the sex as well as the age of the individual. The mandible is formed by the union of the right and left two halves in the center, that is called the symphysis mentis. The mandible mainly has got the two parts. One is the horizontal part, that is called the body of the mandible. And a vertical part, that is called the ramus of the mandible. So ramus word we have taken from the as a branch of a tree. So the body and the ramus, they are the two parts of the mandible. The body has got the features, it has got two borders and two surfaces. The border are the superior border and the inferior border. This is the inferior border, is also called the base of the mandible. The superior border is also called the alveolar border because there are sockets of the alveoli are there to fit the 8 sockets for the 8 teeth, 2 incisor, 1 canine, 2 premolars and the 3 molar teeth are congested in the sockets or the pockets. The superior border is also called the alveolar border, in which we see a series of the teeth, and the lower border, when we put it on the table, so that is the base of the thing. So the outer surface is also called the lateral surface. The features of the lateral surface is, one is that it has got a foramen which is called the mental foramen. And this mental foramen is directed backward. And this is the oblique line on the outer surface. This mental foramen is very important for the determination of the age of the mandible. If we find this position of this mental foramen from the superior border and the inferior border, if it is slightly, or if it is in the midline, for example, if it is here, then the age is 50 years. If it is slightly above it, we plus it, so it is a 60 years. If we have found here, this is 70 years, then 80 years. As we go up, the age increases, and above 70 or 80 years, there is no any teeth left. Even the alveoli or the sockets, they are absorbed. So such a mandible, is mental foramen is very near to the superior border, is above the age of 80. So such a mandible without any teeth is called edentulous mandible. Edentulous. Edentulous mandible. So this presence of it, as if the mental foramen is below the center point of the superior and the inferior border, for example, somewhere here, then age is 40. If it is below the 30, still below 25 or 20. So as you go down, the age decreases. So this is the mental foramen is a very important landmark for the determination of the age in years. Then comes the medial surface. So on the medial surface of the mandible, we see a obliquely running line, and this line is called the mylohyoid line. And this mylohyoid line gives the origin of the mylohyoid muscle. Just above this mylohyoid line, on the medial or the inner surface of the mandible, body of the mandible, above this mylohyoid there is a fossa. This is called the sublingual fossa. And just below it, there is another fossa. This is called the submandibular fossa. And just near the lower part of the chin of the mandible, somewhere here, there is a fossa which is called the diagastric fossa. And if we see the mandible from inside, then there are present two pairs of the genial tubercle, and below here we find the diagastric fossa on either side of it. So this is called the superior genial tubercle, upper one, and lower is called the inferior genial tubercle. Superior genial tubercle, they give the origin of the genu-glossus muscle, and inferior genial tubercle, they give the origin to the genu-hyoid muscles. So they are the features of the medial surface of the body of the mandible. Then come the ramus of the mandible. So this is the ramus of the mandible, the upturned. So where the horizontal body becomes vertical is called the ramus, and this is called the angle of the mandible. The point from where the horizontal structure becoming the vertical. So there are two angles. This is the external and this is the internal angle. So angle is two types. This is the external angle and this is the internal angle. So both lie opposite to each other. Internal and the external angle. Then it is also having the two borders and two surfaces. The borders, they are anterior border and posterior border. The upper part is also called the sternal, which is called the mandibular notch. And this bony pointed part is called the coronoid process. Coronoid process. The posterior border, behind it lies the retromandibular space. Retromandibular space. And the posterior border, as we go up, it is round, it is thickened. And this thickened part is called the head of the mandible, or also called condyloid process. Condyloid process. And if we see the head, it is convex lateral to medial as well as it is convex antero-posteriorly, and shape of the head is ellipsoid. Just below the head there lies the neck of the mandible. Below the head lies the neck of the mandible. And this neck has got four surfaces: anterior, medial, posterior and lateral surface. The medial surface anteriorly, medial part of the anterior surface of the neck bears a fovea which is called the pterygoid fovea. And this pterygoid fovea is for the insertion of the tendon of the lateral pterygoid. Lateral pterygoid is inserted on the pterygoid fovea on the anterior surface of anteromedial surface of the neck of the mandible. Then lateral surface is rough here near the angle because of the insertion of the masseter muscle. The features of the medial surface. If we see the medial surface of the mandible, ramus of the mandible, we find there is a foramen which is called the mandibular foramen. And just above and posterior to this, there is a tongue-like projection or the bony spicule is there. This is called lingula because of the tongue-like shape. Lingula. If we put a wire in the mandibular foramen, then this wire will come out of the mandibular foramen. It means internally there is a mandibular canal is going on which connects the mandibular foramen with the mandibular foramen. So this canal is also present in the medial surface of the ramus also, and is also present in the body also. Then from this mandibular foramen, this mandibular foramen, a faint groove is running down from the ramus towards the mandible, the body. So a faint groove is there, and this is called the mylohyoid groove. This is called the mylohyoid groove. So remember, the mylohyoid groove is present on the medial surface of the ramus, but the mylohyoid line is present on the medial surface of the body of the mandible. So this is how we study the mandible as a whole, various its features with the body as well as the ramus and its feature on the medial and lateral surface. Now mandible is also very important bone for the sex determination. So it gives the 99% accuracy if an unknown identified skeleton is found. So mandible is a very important bone to give the comment about the male and female as well as the age because of the presence of the, we have seen the mandibular foramen. So the age of the mandible, the sex of the mandible is identified by seeing the angle of the mandible. If the angle of the mandible is outward or it is everted, it is a feature of a male mandible. In the female, the mandible angle may be straight or it is slightly inward. So that is the feature of the female mandible. For example, this is the features is seen. So angle is always seen like this. So if you see the angles, they are straight, it means this is the female. And if you find like this, if the angles, they are everted angles, so they are the male features. So this is the one is the what we see the angle. Second thing we see is the chin. Here the male has got the broad jaw. So this lower part, if you see from the behind, it is seen as the U shape. So U shape is the feature of the male mandible because here the male is the jaw is the broad. But in the case of the female, it is almost V shape because female they have got the pointed chin. So the body, it meets at the symphysis menti in the form of the V-shaped geometry. But in the case of the male, it gives the U shape. So this is how we differentiate the V and U geometry of the mandible because of the pointed chin in the female and the broad chin in the male. So these are the features of the male, that it is U shape. And the angles, they are everted. So this is also a male feature of the bone. So in the male, feature number one is the angle. The angle is everted. Second, the chin is U shape, alphabet U shape. In the female, the angle is either straight, downward, or it is inverted. And secondly, the chin is seen in the alphabet V shape. Another thing about the mandible is that 7 nerves touching the mandible. They are sensory as well as the motor. 7 nerves they are touching the mandible. These nerves touching the various parts of the body and the ramus of the mandible. Let us see what are these 7 nerves touching the mandible. The first important nerve is the lingual nerve. So lingual nerve touches 1 centimeter medial to the last molar tooth here. And as it lies very close to the last molar tooth, so during the extraction of the last molar tooth, sometime the lingual nerve can be accidentally damaged, and that lead to the loss of the general sensation on the anterior 2/3 of the tongue of that side. So surgeon has to take precaution. He or she should know the relationship of the lingual nerve with the root of the last molar tooth. Then another nerve is the mental nerve. So mental nerve is also touching the mental foramen. Then the inferior alveolar nerve, it passes through the mandibular foramen. Inferior alveolar nerve. The fourth nerve is the nerve to mylohyoid. It also touches the mandible. So, and this nerve runs in the groove for the mylohyoid. And same this nerve will go and supply the mylohyoid muscle, which will take origin from the mylohyoid line. Then another nerve which is touching the mandible is the buccal nerve. So buccal nerve touches the anterior border of the ramus. This buccal nerve is the branch of mandibular anterior division. Then the notch, mandibular notch is also touched by a nerve which is called the nerve to masseter. Masseteric nerve. So masseteric nerve touches the mandibular notch here. Then it supplies the masseter muscle which is inserted over here. Last nerve which is touching is the auriculotemporal. Auriculotemporal nerve. So auriculotemporal nerve touches the medial surface of the neck of the mandible. Then it touches the posterior surface, and from posterior it touches also the lateral surface, and then it goes up. So this is the auriculotemporal nerve touches the lateral, posterior, and the medial surface of the mandible. So see how the 7 nerve that touches the mandible. Then the medial surface of the mandible is also touched by two more structures. The medial surface is touched by the one is the maxillary artery and another is the maxillary vein. So maxillary artery, maxillary vein and auriculotemporal nerve, they touch the medial surface of the neck of the mandible. So whenever a patient of the fracture of the neck of mandible comes, these three structures are liable to be cut or the injured. Then mandible is also hanging from the skull. So there are three connections of the mandible which connect the skull with the mandible. Out of this, one is the stylohyoid ligament. So stylohyoid ligament is attached to the tip of the styloid process and it is attached to the external or the outer angle of the mandible. This is the condensation of the deep cervical or investing layer of the deep fascia. This is called the stylomandibular ligament. Then the tip of the lingula of the bony spicule is also attached to this skull, base of the skull superiorly. So lingula is attached with the ligament which is called the, from this superiorly attached to the spine of the sphenoid. So this ligament is called the sphenomandibular ligament. Sphenomandibular ligament. Sphenomandibular ligament. Then a very important structure is attached to the mandible, that is called the pterygomandibular raphe. Pterygomandibular raphe. So this pterygomandibular raphe is attached superiorly to the pterygoid hamulus of the medial pterygoid plate. Pterygoid hamulus is attached to the medial pterygoid plate, lower border of the posterior border, lower part of the posterior border of the medial pterygoid plate. There is a hammer-like hamulus, and this is the pterygomandibular raphe. Inferiorly, it is attached to the mandible, the area behind the last molar tooth. Anteriorly, this pterygomandibular raphe gives the origin of the buccinator muscle, and posteriorly, this raphe gives attachment to the superior constrictor muscles. Then this oblique line gives the mandibular fibers of the buccinator muscle from oblique line. So they are the features important in the mandible. Thank you.